Hello. Hello. Bleh. Someone asked me if I was thirsty, so no, I have a water bottle on my desk. Oh, okay. Well, I got my water bottle. I went and got the water bottle out of the kitchen, cause, you know, I almost forgot to have myself a water. There we go. Hands, check. Back straight-ish. Hang on, let me just lean this back. Alright, there we go. And then sit straight up. And then... not set up straight. Beep. There we go. Alrighty then. I can grab this, move you over here, hit the back button. There we go. Hi, everyone! Hello, hello. Hi, so who was here first? Aria Soulsong was here first. Welcome, welcome. Then we got Uranea Zach, we got Jack. Thank you, everyone. So, hang on. Get head. Yeah. Well, this is my life now, just with a box on my head. So, how has my day been? My day has been fairly alright. I will be real with you, though. I have been counting the days until I'm, like, on break. I am a little over 3 weeks away from going on break. I am so close. It would be fucking phenomenal to be on break, because here's the thing, is that, like, I've been doing fairly well with my shake diet and what have you. I talked to my dietitian last week, and the dietitian was like, yeah, you're doing a fairly, like, this is a fairly good, you know, weight loss while you're on the shake diet, because it was essentially, like, 10 kilos of weight loss in a month. The first week, I did, like, 5 kilos and such, so granted, that was a lot of water weight being lost. I haven't lost that much weight in the last, like, 2 or 3 days, because I'm gonna be real with you, on Monday, there was, free food. There was, like, free salads out in the kitchen. Now, vegetables, fruit and veg, like, greens are on my list of allowed things on the intensive diet. I can have, like, a cup or two of vegetables or fruit. And I was looking at the list, and I was like, and, you know, curry powder and cauliflower were on the list of things that I was able to eat, and I got myself, like, this little, like, you know, like, literally the size of my hand cup, and I just put cauliflower with, like, curry powder in there. So yeah, so since that day, my weight has stayed the same at 128.5, so I imagine my body, like, was not prepared that it was gonna get more carbohydrates, and it was just like, ooh, hello, and then just, like, gobbles it up and is holding on to it for dear life. So, and then, yeah, there might have been some rice in it, which I'm not allowed to have. I don't know if it was rice. It was, like, the tiniest fucking, like, single kernel and shit, but I love the cauliflower. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm looking forward to when I go on break. And the dietitian says that while I'm on holiday, I'm allowed to be on a break with my diet as well. And then I go back into it no, disgusting, Sir Dragon. No, fuck off. And so when I'm on that break, I'll be able to eat, you know, sort of whatever it is that I want within reason, because, you know, I'm trying to stay to a minimum, like, you know, I try not to go to, like, a maximum energy or something like that. So that'll be nice. It'll be wonderful to, like, you know, go for more solid foods, and I've been looking forward to foods like broccoli, salads, rice. So, granted, the hamburger is still a thing that I would very much desire and what have you, but not in a realm of, like, you know, eating several of them in a day. Let me be real with you. So, but yeah, so it'll be nice. It'll be nice to be able to go on something of a break where, you know, I'll be able to, you know, eat some of the foods that, like, look delicious that I want to have, having, you know, full sugar sodas instead of just diet sodas, you know, all sorts, like, vices. These are my vices, not like, oh, drugs and alcohol. It's like, no, you know what? I would love the sugar in my Coca-Cola again. I would love to have a vanilla Coke. That's where my vices are. That's That's what your Zeebs wants. That's what the Zeeb desires. Alrighty then. We are heading over into here. Oh my goodness, what is with the... Why am I so tiny? What the fuck? Hang on a second. Studio mode. 3D Grant. Okay, why is my 3D Grant so... No, it doesn't... Oop, Jesus. Control Z. Like... Vignon sprite. And then Vignon... Hang on, is it like... Something's not right. Hang on, so... 3D Cloud is there. What am I... The auto ducking is there. The... Lol, sorry for the telegram scare. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not meant to be a mini zebra, I can tell you that much. Hang on, hang on. Foreground elements. 3D props, 3D grant... Okay. I see... I kind of see what went wrong here. So... Foreground elements, filters. So grant seeded is for the 3D grant. Grant full. There we go. So... Why is it full frame grant? Grant seeded. No, they're not doing anything. So, how did I fuck that? Okay, so I must be enabling / disabling... Hang on a sec. 3 actions here. Yeah, okay. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. So, it goes to the game. So, targeting the program. Camera 1. And then main stage normal zoom. Okay. Alright, so that's confusing then. Why... So why did it activate the foreground, thing? You're not... Yeah, I'm now normal size. I just... For some reason it put me down to here instead of here. And then this is zoomed. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna delete these, 3D Grant filters. So then that way I'm not having... problems, because I feel like these are gonna cause me issues in the future, because I've done the camera angle nonsense on this one here. Like, this one here is the one I've done all the thingy-madiggies to. So this one is trying to do it on the VTuber TTS Grant full, TTS Grant small. So these are all... Alright, so... Source, Grant VTuber. 3D, Grant... Okay, so it's doing it on this one. So, TTS Grant small... Full. Ooh, okay. Audio... Okay, so it's doing it on the audio ducking Grant. Okay, that's fine. Which is this thing here. Filters. So, full, small, okay. Hopefully this should be alright. I'm just gonna do a, TTS Grant. That should be good now. I feel like every time I tune into the stream, something else breaks. Nah, I was fucking around with it Monday because I was playing the Veil Guard, and I was trying to play the Veil Guard with my TTS bot and what have you, or not with my TTS bot, with VideoTube Mini. Because the thing is that I'm a 3D VTuber first and foremost. I have PNGs, as you are no doubt aware. But I don't have the PNGs as, like, my main sort of, like, thingamajiggy. I'm okay for using my 3D VTuber when I'm playing PlayStation games, such as Spyro. Like, this here, totally fine. He's doing an amazing job. Whereas, there we go. Whereas if I want to play a game on PC, like a new game, such as Call of Duty Black Ops 6, or, blah, 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 or Dragon Age the Veilguard, then I need to move over to PNG Tuber. And I don't really have a really good, system. I don't really have, so like, I don't want to do a 2 PC setup, personally speaking. I don't want to, like, because the reason for it is because my electricity bill is already fairly high, and, like, a PC costs me, like, an additional $1 a day. So if I have a PC running at the same time as another PC, it's essentially, like, I'm spending, like, $2 a stream. Or something crazy like that, which is not something I want to do. I don't exactly want to have, like, my electricity bill go up, like, shooting up crazily because I now have an additional PC that's taking in, like, possibly another, like, you know, $90 on my electricity bill when anytime I go over $300, I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing?
Hi again, Spyro. This power-up can make you invincible, but only for a short while.
Stuart! And he's wearing a little hat. There we go. Don't mind me as I eat all the frogs. Alrighty. So we got a giant rocket here. So what's over... Oh, it's just another egg. Ted! Oh my god, Ted is such a fucking nerd. Also, hi Val, welcome to the stream. How are the Netherlands? Let's see, am I going to... Nope, damn it. Oh, I see what it wants me to do. That's a little bit easier. Man, this thing has a lot of towers. Alright, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I use Spark here? Spyro, I've got a special task for Spark. Oh, but meet them later. Okay. Oh, another egg. Hannah. The morning? Ah, fair enough. It's a morning. Alright. More egg. Alrighty, so we've already... So that's the Evening Lake. Break the tower wall. Frozen Altar we've already got to. The Fireworks Factory was a terrible time. Bentley's... Okay, so maybe we do need to go... Alright, let's have a look. So... Wait, did I do... So I've already done Frozen Altars. I've not done the Lost Fleet. Okay, we're gonna go do the Lost Fleet. I hope we get pirates. It looks like a fucking pirate thing. Bad dragon? No, don't mention the bad... Don't mention the bad dragon. This is... Are you enjoying it? I am honestly enjoying it. Like, considering I've gone through so many JRPGs and action RPGs, it's a breath of fresh air for me playing an action, like, first-person shooter or platformer.
I was mighty close to finding my treasure.
So, being able to, you know, play something that isn't with RPG elements while I'm also going through Dragon Age the Veilguard is honestly absolutely fantastic. It's a palate cleanser. You need a palate cleanser in your video games, alright? That's my opinion. Hi there, Warhorse Indra. Welcome to the stream. Ow. Fuck you. Alright, where is Tiny Crab? Hello. Thank you. Alrighty, so we've got this. Can I get another... Thank you. There we go. Ow. Fuck you. So wait, is he a ghost? Is that the idea? Oh no, there's just two of them stacked on top of each other. Okay. X marks the spot. Cool. Damn it. Alrighty, so I can't go up there via normal means. But yeah, no, you just outright severed the crab's claws. Yeah, I'm a dragon. Dragon beats crab. I don't know why that's such a... Oh. There we go. Firefly to keep him alive. There we go. I don't really have a way of getting up there. Oh, maybe it's for those birds up there? Alrighty, there we go. And then grab use as well, so then that way Spark isn't, you know, close to death. Absolutely decimated. But yeah, no, I'm very much enjoying it. I didn't grow up with a PlayStation. I was an Xbox kid during high school and what have you. So all these like PlayStation mascot platformers, they are not in my forte. They are not in my nostalgia brain. So this is all like, oh, nice. You know, picking up on, you know, different things. Get rid of this. Alrighty. Go. So yeah. I know when I play a long RPG, I'll sometimes play something simple on the side. Yeah, no, you get the right idea, Warhorse. Or, like, I think palate cleansers are an important thing to have. Like, I know some people can get away with just being like, I play nothing but a FIFA game. I do not care for any other game but FIFA. Or you got some dude being like, nah, Call of Duty all the time. Counter-Strike all the time. It is only first-person shooters in this household because I need to be the best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring me down if I'm the best around. But I'm not like that. I cannot stand games that are asking for perfection from me. I am not interested in being top of the world in something or top in my region. Because you know what that is? It's a lonely fucking time. Because you're just gonna be stuck playing that all the time. And then there's gonna be a point where someone's gonna be like, why aren't you playing these games? And it's like, well, because I'm tired of them. And next thing you know, you're just streaming all these old, like, Mario, Smoothies, games. All you're playing is Mario Party or Mario Kart, and it's an absolute, like, terrible time. Oh, neat. So we can use this to swim up. Interesting, okay. Uh-oh. Alright, so, note to self. We can only be in there for a limited time. It's not a really long timer. My god, there are so many fucking crabs. The fuck is with all these crabs? Give me another one of those tiny crabs. You don't palate cleanse so much as come for a game. I don't really like new games. You have a hard time branching out. Look, it's not about it being a new game to you. It's about being a different genre, okay? It's about, like, going for something that isn't in, like, the recent memories. That's all it's about. It's not playing you know, your 20th ARPG or Dark Souls RPG? What if they redesigned the level to have a rave theme? I don't know what game you're talking about then. Alrighty, we gotta... There we go. Alright. What is in here? Alright, so... some skateboarding freaks. Cool. Poor little dragon. Did your friend go bye-bye? Now, don't worry. You'll soon be joining him. Sincerely, the sorcerer. She just wanted alone time with him. That's all she wanted. She didn't do anything to him. So, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's anything I can do in this area until I have a skateboard, which I will not have until I have Hunter back out here. For the crabs. Oh, the Crab Rave song you're talking about. There is a crab game that is just called a crab game or something like that, and you're playing a crab with like shooting mechanics and shit like that. That one is honestly a little bit of fun, and it's just full of just, you know, crab rave music. It's fantastic that way. Alrighty, so boom. Alright, so I need a... So it looks like there's other places. Because how many... Yeah, swim through acid. So it wants me to, like, swim through the acid at the very least. So we're gonna have to go, like, the full amount. So, let's see. Not explicitly there. Oop. Damn it. Not good. Now, the question is... Ah, cool. So they give me this thing. Ah, that's just so I can... Cool. Oh, hey, there's a... Alright. Surgraphing, casting a line. Let's see what they're gonna... Untitled crab game. That's it. Thank you for catching that one. The birds. Time to see if we can take on any birds. 97% cute. Nice work there, Ernest. Zach. Alrighty. Okay, so there isn't like... Oh, okay, so we can go through that thingy-majiggies. There we go. Alright, let's see what's through here. Ah!
These here waters used to be my favorite diving spot, but I can't get... Alrighty then. Press.
Alright. Doing some torpedo nonsense. Hi there, bookie. How dare you throw cactar at me? Now. Alright, so I'm gonna have to deal with these pipes, it seems. One. There we go! Ah, you bastard. There we go.
Well, I'll
You're
be
very ooh-woo tonight. You are very ooh-woo tonight, Zach.
Let's have this here egg as a reward.
Also, yeah, there is a hug emote. There is a hug command, Jack. Exclamation point hug, and you can even, like, tag people. Oh, look at that idiot. Alrighty, and now I can go through here and pick up the gems. And then ding, dong. Oh, okay, it's just for gem collection, I imagine then. That's all this is for. It's not useful for anything except, like, collecting gems. Still worthwhile, because no doubt the fucking bear, the capitalist bear is gonna, you know, try and take some shit. And he just dies to acid. Of course he does. Ow. F's in chat.
Well, I hate to ask your help again. There'll be even more subs that don't come out of nowheres. Darn tootin'.
Alright, hopefully there is actually like 2 phases, so then that way I get like 2 eggs for my troubles. Oh, they're going faster now. 2, 1. And of course he had to disappear. Just be a patient sub. Damn it. Damn it. Holy fuck, the body keeps floating. Yep. Ah, why? It loses tracking like instantaneously, annoyingly enough. 2, 1. There we go. 2, 1. Yep. He had to go into a tunnel, didn't he? Did it!
At last, the acid lake is safe for swimming again. I wish I could reward you better, but all I got.
Nice. Dolores, you're mine. Oh, actually, I also noticed that there was like an up. Hang on a sec. Let's see what happens when I swim to the top. Anything here? No, you just decide to keep me trying to swim to the top, which is not great. Alrighty, so... Come on. So I still need to swim... Oh, and it doesn't let me keep my abilities, does it? Fuck you. Okay, so I need to swim through acid. It doesn't... Maybe I need to swim on this side of the acid bath? Let's see. So if I go over here and then jump into the acid, will there be anything for me? More gems? Okay. Well, I can get rid of the birds at the very least. Alrighty. I hope I get something besides gems for getting rid of the birds. Come on, bird. There's one. Most likely I need to throw it over here. A free sticker! How'd you get a free sticker? How does that work? Ah, that's a waste. What I could have done is... Oh, it doesn't do that. Okay. Shame. Sink the subs. Okay. Alrighty, we'll use you then. Damn it. Well, I can at least pick up these big gems. Alrighty, another trip down the acid bath. There we go, Chad. Wait, this isn't the first time we caught Chad. I swear we caught another Chad a while ago. Oh, thank Christ. Well, we got at least 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Skate park the rhinoceroses. Well, we can't do that. So... we're stuck dealing with any of the other parks. But I think, quite frankly, considering we've got like 80 eggs at least, we should be good for opening up like 2 or 3 of the other places at the next stage of this game. Because I think we've done pretty good progress. Maybe 85 would be a good number, but who knows. I remember my friend and suffering with the skate race this level. Oh, well, I'm not gonna take part in that shit. Fuck that nonsense. Absolutely fuck 'em. Would not care. Oh, look at that. It's Hunter.
Hello. I thought you might be hungry.
Thanks. Did you bring any chips?
I'm sorry this happened, but I tried to warn you.
Oh my goodness,
I
could
had
you
to
be a
help
character
Spyro
that's gonna
rescue
turn
Rex.
from, like,
You
an
just don't
evil
understand.
sorceress to a
If we
helpful
don't bring dragons
witch?
back to this world soon, all our magic will be lost.
The dragons used to live here?
Yes, this was their original home. But a long, long time ago, the sorceress banished them to the other side of the world. She didn't realize the dragons were the source of all our magic.
Ah.
Maybe I could convince the dragons to come back, if you let me go.
Is she really?
I'm
No,
sorry.
okay.
I can't.
Yeah, was about to say. Apples and Chris does not sound like a good match. It's actually a fairly common one for kids. Chips and apples is usually a common one. Alrighty, is there any other places for us to go? It doesn't... Oh, hello. Why'd you open your mouth like that? Interesting. Oh, an egg! Jonah got bored in an egg. Jonah, this is not a good time to show me how you can walk on your front legs. Look out. That's an apple? I thought it was a tomato. No, it's an apple. No, 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 no. Oh, you motherfucker. Let me out. Alrighty, so... We've already gone to the frozen thingy-majiggies. I think that's all the places we can go? Okay, it looks like we're missing one. Huh, okay. Bentley! Oh, okay, this should be Bentley's thing.
Vol_Pecula has added quote number 460, Jonah Gottfried in an egg.
Thank you, Vol, I appreciate it.
I will gladly help you on your quest, Spyro, but first I must attend to my young sibling. I'm afraid he may have gotten himself into trouble during my absence.
Alrighty. Ah, nothing in here. Okay. Ah, it doesn't do anything. Annoying. Also, why do they have to make the circle the... Just break all these. I guess there's no eggs. Yeah, the Bentley's outpost. There's nothing here except for, like, 10 missing gems if I wanted them. Alright. They're not going to be somewhere obvious, no doubt. Oh, but there is going to be whoever the fuck is up there. Maybe that's Bentley. Ah, there. Okay, so that does something. Doesn't Spark have the pointing ability by default? I don't know. Maybe? Oh, would you look at that? 100 points. 100% level completion. That's all we needed. Okay, so it must be just spinning his. Ding. Just to piss him off. I think it's R3 and he points you to the closest. Nah, it looks like it's L3, so it's the left bumper. So, I think because, like, yeah, I've already explored this thing. I didn't realize it was Bentley's thing. Alright. Now I just need to move these into position. Boom, boom, ding. And then... yeah, so his thing is actually done. Alright, so I'm missing one area. I'm just missing one area and I should be A-okay for Evening Lake. Because it looks like it was... Alright, so we already did Lost Fee, we did Frozen, we did the Fireworks Factory, Bentley's Alcove we've 100%ed. So... we did the Lost Fleet. Oh, Charmed Ride. Oh, Charmed Ridge? Yeah, no, we've not done the Ridge. Okay, so this must be the last one we need to do. Right. Loading. What Hulk would Zebra be? A red, blue, purple, green, or gray? Ooh, good question. I reckon I would be either a gray or a green. Like, gray has a mix of, like, smart and strength, and green is a very emotional strength. And then red is just angry absorption. I wouldn't think of myself as angry absorption. Maybe purple, just because of the whole Twitch thing, but that's no guarantees. I feel like making the zebra purple would be a bit of a weirdy one. Or, no, maybe it seems appropriate just because of... There we go. And... oh.
Hurry, Spyro! If we don't get to the castle right away, the princess will be forced to marry that...
Could I please get, like, a gem or something for Spark to... yeah. Because that shit's unfair. The day's quiet enough to draw. I wish I had a tablet to draw with at work, though. Would an Android tab... is there, like, an Android tablet, like, software you can do for drawing purposes? Cookie for Vol. Here's your cookie, Vol.
Hello.
Hi, Jason. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could make it. Sorry, I didn't say hi earlier. Damn it. Alright, where's my... Alright, we kill a frog prince in order to improve our, spark.
Hurry, Spyro!
Fuck you. There we go. You use a Samsung tablet and you use a lot of apps for drawing? Oh, nice, Code. I've never seen any of your drawings, Code. Why is that? Okay, I see what you want me to do. No, I do not see what you want me to do. I don't imagine it wanted me to go through it in that fashion, but fuck it. Yeah, nah, it obviously wanted me to go through it a different way. Hello, moneybags.
Spyro, today is your lucky day. The wizards and I have worked out a little deal. If you simply pay a small toll, they'll be happy to raise these steps.
Sure.
You have chosen wisely, Spyro. I'll tell the wizards to raise the steps immediately.
Ah, okay, so...
There's no time to lose, Prince.
Damn it! Now I have to go through that jumping bit again. Or worse, the... Oh, yep, cool. Alright, here we go, here we go. Might as well get myself there. Benjamin, my boy! There we go. Oh, it's that one that's doing it. God damn it. That was a waste. Alright, thank you, Spark. And the good news is because I had that fire ability, as I said, the level is so bad. Oh, is it that bad? It's not, like, terrible, but, like, there's definitely, like, moments that I'm just like, gee, thanks. There we go.
just saw Prince Azrael run into the castle. We have to stop.
But yeah, hi there,
him.
Jerry. Well, I was dumb. Alright, so first question, how were they expecting me to normally get around this thing? Like, am I supposed to just charge through it? I don't know, that one just feels a little bit cheaty, to be real with you. You had to attend to work? Not to worry. Okay, so it is just a case of go fast. Opens the gate. You've listened to dev commentary on the. Apparently, the whole game was rushed to be like this third one. This third one was a rushed one. There we go. Hi there, Captain Power! Though this rush shot is nothing compared to Enter the Dragonfly. Oh, is Enter the Dragonfly, like, worse? Well, Enter the Dragonfly is not in this, pack. I'm only going through Reignited, personally, because, like, that's all in a nice, neat package similar to what we got for, the Crash Bandicoot games, which... I need to have a think about the next game I'm gonna play after this.
Spyro, isn't Prince Azrael just the dreamiest? The other fairies and wizards won't let us get married, so we're going to elope. By the way, Azrael says you can have this egg if you don't tell anyone where we went.
Okay. That's a bit of a rushed sort of conclusion. What was that? Made no fucking sense. Alright, back up here we go, because I saw them there. You. Damn it. Alright, so I will need to go to the center pillar and then fly. Ding dong. Now we can do Sergeant Bird.
I'd like to stay and chat, but I'm late for a an engagement with a fairy friend of mine. Just a friend, you understand. Strictly platonic relationship. Certainly not a violation of military protocol whatsoever. What?
I love how they put in she's just a friend rather than they're just a friend in the subtitles.
Where have you been, James? We were supposed to meet in the temple an hour ago. And don't give me that old matters of national security line again. I guess it doesn't matter, though.
James Bird is such a Bond character.
Anyway, we'll just have to call off our date. That is, unless you want to battle the witches.
You would like to see Toys for Bob tackle a Spyro sequel like they did for Crash? You know what? I reckon because of the success of, like, you know, Spyro and Crash, that's what let them do Crash Bandicoot 4, and now they're trying to do something for Spyro, but they need to be, like, mindful of it. Because here's the thing, is that Spyro and Crash have very similar sort of, you know, pathing. But here's the thing, is that Crash Bandicoot is a linear progression. Spyro is a little bit of this mini open world, but you're gonna have to figure out how to do a mini open world without just being an open world. Oh, neat. I love how that is how I gain skill points, is breaking the windows. There we go.
So, I see those rocket launchers aren't just for show after all. Well, I...
They're coming out of the same hole. How are you having such a difficulty with, like... You could have just turned it into a murder box bird. I hope you realize that. If they all have to come out of the same place, you can shoot, like, relatively the same spot and just make it a fucking bombardment. And the final one is there.
I must admit, James, I am impressed.
Commit vandalism.
There are
Here's a
so
skill.
many
Yeah,
people
commit
who
vandalism.
mean business. They even
This
turn
James
the floor
catches
into
all the
deadly
birds.
blue ooze. Oh,
I'm not
do
in my
be
VC,
careful.
so I can't do the
Okay.
baduntis. I'm sorry. Next time I need to remember to have sound effects that are, like, available outside of Discord, or just go into Discord when I can. Glide into the tower. Oh, Jesus. No. Do not get caught into the fucking divvies. There we go.
You did it, James. Oh, I knew you weren't the leader of the hummingbird resistance movement for nothing. Now we have the temple.
Oh no, the game... Why is the internet... Work can't have dead internet. Raise that with your IT support technician. Or do your own troubleshooting. I'll be real, I would probably have you do your own troubleshooting if I was the IT technician. They had 6 months to do a game on console they'd never developed for. Oh, yeah, that's a very short time window. Imagine trying to explain to a AAA dev of like, hey, you want to make a game in 6 months? There we go. Alrighty. Alright, so glide to the tower is the next one, is what we need to do. So... Oh, hello. Mystery. Familiar with that one. Not perfectly, at least. There you go. Alright, I know where I need to go. There we go. That way we don't get disrupted by you again. No idea what that is. Go. And another portal. Where does this one lead? Who the fuck is this black-eyed
According
pea?
to legends, there's a golden goose at the top of this here mountain. I want to be the first person to the... I just bought some Insta-Sprout Ultra Super Gross seeds from a bear with a bag of gems. He said they were magic.
Oh yeah, because a bear with a bag of gems is not a problem
You can
in
have a
this
couple if you
universe.
like.
Thank you. Alright, so how effective... Oh, okay. I swear to you, I am not an idiot. There we go. Alright, cool. Thank you for the 10. Alrighty, so do I just need to... Yeah, okay, so that gets me... There we go. And then grab you and drop you here. Grab those 2 jars before I forget. Alright. Alright, so the big one needs to go here. And this one needs to go here. There we go. Alright, so grab this. Look at him with such a full fucking mouth. Alright, and then, yep, we drop that there, which allows us to get up here. And we get the golden goose! Or he just gets up here himself.
I found this egg on the way up here. I think it was laid by a golden goose.
Shelly! It's not a golden goose that laid that egg, it was a dragon! Man, Shelly is an idiot. Where do you think the wizard cat got a motorcycle from? Clearly through the power of persuasion and magic. Or one of the two. Okay, so... not that. Oh wait, no, maybe it is that. Because what we can do is we can jump from this platform here to oop. Forgive me, I am an idiot. Alright, cool. Hi there, Volvader. Welcome to the stream. How is it going? You doing alright? Other one right here. We do a big ow. We do a big leap, and then there we go. There we go. So we use that to platform. That one to jump, but it's gonna be a bit of a distance, I'm gonna be real with you. Let's see how big of a jump we get with this. Not a big enough jump. Alright. Let's see, is it going to be one of those kinds of... Maybe I use the flower, so then that way I can replace one of the yeah, maybe that's what I do. There we go, so I replace... Actually, no, hang on. Replace... I'm gonna replace this mushroom. And then we'll see if... go. Alrighty. Hopefully it's gonna be one of those cases of, oh, because you jumped a third time, like Super Mario Bros. It's gonna... There we go. Bam. And then... There we go. I don't know how this fucking beanstalk rock climber is getting up here.
Legendary golden goose! You can have another one of its eggs.
Thank you, Chuck. There we go. Pick up you. Drop down here. What do you mean, Nandi? What is with Spyro and the creepily designed fairy kid? That was Jack the Beanstalk. Jump here. Alright, let's see how this goes. It's possible that, like, we go to the, whatsamahoozies, the, get rid of you, climb up these things. Let's see, so... Bam, jump up, jump up. There we go. Hey, look, there's a kid on the tower. Ding. Egg. Mo. No one likes Mo. What a snotty little Mo. Hey, that's all the eggs. Nice. What is the point of that fire thingy-majiggy? Is it just to, like, help get rid of the, witches faster? Is that it? There we go. And then dunk, and then bam. And then this gate thingy-majiggy is open, so we just go through here. Tempting, but no. Now that we've got everything sorted, we should now be able to get onto the fucking float balloon thing. Should be good there. Oh, did my phone just flash a lit? Oh no, just warning me about, you know, hey, you should probably think about winding down for bed. Honey Speedway. Is this just gonna be a way of getting more gems? Is that it? Is home to the fastest racing bees in the world. It's one of the only speedways that operates at night. Which challenge would you like to play? Nope. No, we're not dealing with speedways. Speedways have eggs in this game. No, they don't. No. No. 3 per speedway. Because of the 3. Oh, shit. I am not dealing with them speedways. Sorry, Speedwagon. Not happening. Get back here, Frog. Fuck you, Frog. I'll go for one of your friends, then. I have so many to choose from. Alright, that should be everyone now. Midnight Mountain! One giant leap for dragonkind! Ah! Excuse me.
That's it! I've had enough! I'm going to create a monster to end all monsters! And I'm going to send it out to destroy all the dragons, even the little hatchlings.
Beepy boy.
Yes.
Oh, look at her. She's just stroking her fucking
Grind them
ear.
and tear them. Oh, yes. Smear them and smush them and crack them and crease them.
Let me out of here, you!
But, won't that kill them?
It doesn't matter. As long as I can still collect their wings.
What? All this time you've only wanted them for their wings?
Of course, you ignorant girl. I need them for a spell so I can live forever.
Wait a second. A spell?
What did you think I was going to do with all those dragons? Open a zoo?
Ooh, if I had my blaster, you'd be singing a different tune. You know what I mean?
You said just keeping them in our
They introduced so many characters in this one. Like, what the fuck?
I don't have to kill them. It just stops them from wriggling so much.
You're terrible. I can't believe I ever listened to you.
Stupid, insolent brat. I'll take care of her as soon as I finish off that dragon. Now, where was I? Ah, yes.
Oh, this is gonna get real ugly.
Ah! Am I gonna face the monkey? Is that what's gonna happen? Agent 9 is gonna turn into like the next what's-mahoozies?
This might be our last stand, Spyro. The sorceress plans to use this monster to destroy every iota of her opposition, beginning with the 2 of us. Alas, there is no time for ruminating. A battle awaits us. I will endeavor to assist you by means of a steady
Doing
provision
work
of
by hotspotting on your phone? Wait. So you have to do your job. And your internet and the internet is required for your job, and they are not like looking to solve that. No, talk to your manager. Got yelled at for not doing work, and they were refusing my lousy excuse, and the Wi-Fi is working fine. Ooh. Oh, okay. That's not good. There we go. Did it. James, you're back! Level complete for completing this arena. And now we're on to the second last world, I imagine. Oh, James! The monkey was small enough to get out of the cages? Maybe. Oh, he's still here.
Did you bring any more food? I'm starving.
There's no time for that, Hunter. We have to stop the sorceress. She's gonna kill all the dragon hatchlings.
Wait a minute. Why should I trust you? This could be another trap.
You're in a cage, you furry numbskull. How can I trap you by letting you out?
I don't know. You sorceress types can be sneaky.
I never thought we were going to hurt the dragons. Come on, we don't have time for this.
And they keep, like, they just, like, slowly change her model, so it's like, oh, rather than being all sneaky sorceress, it's like, oh, she's now wearing a hoodie equivalency now. They came in and asked how I'm doing with work when the net is down. That's because they still expect you to work, unfortunately. You'll need to tell them that right now you're working off your mobile phone because any attempts in trying to use the office Wi-Fi are failing for you. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to be like,
sorceress. There's a
look,
way to open a hidden portal to her lair, but it'll take some very strong magic. If you can find more of the dragon eggs, I think my magic will be strong enough to open the portal. I'll come.
Alrighty. So I need to collect a certain amount of eggs. Knowing my luck, I'm gonna have to collect like 100 of them. Ow. There we go. Ding, dong, dun. Actually, let's just see how many we need. So, fuck you. There we go. Macon! Idiot. Alright, let's see. Where is... Let's see. Where is the super dangerous layer? Yep, we need 100 eggs. Should have known. Should have known better. Da 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 memories. Evie! Fuck off. Alright. Alright, so I need 12. And you can normally accomplish like getting 5 or so per level. So let's try and like get this down to, let's see. Shh, it's a secret, they say in the level helper. And yes, I'm gonna run around this area first. Because if we can get like a total of 5 from this area, then that's helpful. That way we only need to get like 7, which means we only need to do like 4 and 3. Nope, does not help me whatsoever. And that one is 90. Alrighty, so... Alrighty, let's get through some worlds. Let's get through the Dino Mines! Da 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 da! The convo was hotspot for my phone, followed by, wait, why are you doing that? Is it the same person that was like, oh, you know, the internet is fine, and then you were like, you know, doing it off your phone? Like, it sounds like this is going to be one of those cases where you're going to have to be, like, very precise with them on to, like, ow. You. you.
Well, gosh darn it, Spyro.
Because I think the thing is they don't think the Wi-Fi is down.
Somehow got away again. Then when I came in to look around for clues, one of them rowdy dinos...
Another person who decides to investigate when it's not their business to
Now they're
do
out
so.
there causing all sorts of trouble, and there's not a thing I...
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. Your workplace? I don't know. The dinos are throwing dynamite. Dynamite. Oh, seriously? Okay. There we go. And there we go. My goodness, this map. Fuck this map. Fuck it, I'm just gonna swim right past them. Ah! Don't steal my shirt while I'm in the middle of a gunfight with no gun! Fuck you, dinosaur. I work with great people, Gran. It's great working in this lovely place. Jack. Hang on, slow zoom. I'd start looking. The screaming match between two elderly staff was amazing. Look, Jack, you're not selling me on this place. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, there's been a lot of like red flags. I'm gonna be real with you. And telling me that two elderly people in your workplace are just gonna be screaming at each other doesn't exactly give me hope. Oh, hey, a secret place. We just went a whole way around.
I'll be, so that's how my prisoners keep
I will do what I want, Grant. I came for himbo titties. Of course you did.
I think it must have
Alright, so we got Kiki.
been just Josephat.
Alrighty, and then we've got Shafted. Oh my god, Shafted. You should hear the stories I have from my previous workplace. Lol, they're great.
Through an egg down this flooded mine shaft.
Have you, like, not had a boring workplace? Have you, like... What? Alrighty, here we go, and then... I thought I could just be low all the time, but that's clearly not the case. I can do it for like a majority of this, but not till like... not the end, no doubt. Oh, wait, hang on, hang on. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh, Jesus. Don't do that.
That was some mighty fine.
And we got ourselves Elliot. Alrighty. Swim through the wall. The what now? Go home and the monkey walks. In the meantime, this office is closed. Oh, damn it. So this isn't even the most recent, what's a Mahuzi? Oh, I see where I need to swim. Throw me! Alright. Gunfight at the Jurassic Corral, which is an Agent 9 thing, which I won't be able to do. So, looks like we're gonna have to go back to the cages. Probably not. There's a lot of abuse in the workplaces here. I'm sorry to hear that. Jack, I am genuinely sorry to hear that. Crocodile. Alrighty. Return home. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, cause like, to put into perspective, like my place is, like, frankly, boring in some places. But what that means is that I'm not, like, I've only stressed to you, chat, like perhaps one time. Oh hey, there's a broken thingy there. I have probably only stressed to you like one time about like a situation in my work. And that was because of one person with, like, one priority thing that was, like, so far out there. And I at least had backup from the rest of my team and from my manager that it was a case of, like, you know, it's a little bit of a fucky situation. Oh, god damn you. God damn you, Spyro. It's a bit of a sucky situation there, but at least we had solutions and what have you. But every other day, it has been a gem. Okay, what the fuck? What is with this? Alright, I'm just gonna walk off it. There we go. That is terrible. But yeah, like, most of my time's at work. The workload is manageable. I'm having, like, wonderful conversation and tangents with the people there. I'm not, like, fighting with people. I'm not getting caught into shouting matches and feeling absolutely awkward and having no clue how in the world am I supposed to help? So, yeah, I'm genuinely, like, Jack, I'm sorry that, like, your workplace doesn't, like, it doesn't sound enjoyable. It doesn't sound like a good environment.
It's a life-size.
How are you not pulling your hair out, like, every week?
Fully operational laser. I'd love to let him out so you can play with him.
Release him.
You've always had a weakness for helping silly little creatures, haven't you, Spyro? Oh, well.
Agent 9. he's
Thanks,
got a...
Spyro. Ooh, say, you ever see a bear dance?
No?
Dance, bear.
Check this out. Quite the dancer, isn't he? Not much stamina, though. Too bad I had a lot more ammo left. Anyway, I heard all about how you've been fighting a sorceress and her armies and kicking all that butt, and I just wanted to say, huzzah! Yippee! Woohoo! Wish you could stay, but my homeworld's been overrun by Rhinox since I've been captured. If you happen to see the sorceress, tell her I'll be giving her dancing lessons real soon. Know what I mean? You bet. Later!
Honestly, though, why do you think I took an entire week off? I got to the point where I was stressed over being Tom, Dick, and Harry. They walk in and refuse to wait their turn. I spend more time being an octopus and juggling acting than actually doing my... Yeah, like, I remember you telling me about this. And, like, there is a strong empathy, Jack.
You see a Rhinox? I thought I saw a
Like-
Rhinox. Ooh, take it from me, Spyro. Never spend a week in a cage. Next thing you know, your whole island will be knee-deep in Rhinox. Well, gotta go. Mr. Laser
I'd
Blaster.
love to, like,
Lot of
talk to you further about this and, like, you know, help where I can.
Ah, Agent 9, my favorite.
Oh, hey, it's the
pupil.
professor.
Welcome back to my island laboratory. I'm afraid Rhinox have taken over the...
Oh my god, we got a first-person shooter. Excellent.
Number of Rhinox are waiting to ambush a...
Shoot the red panic button to lock the... There we go, that locks them in.
Indicators show that a bunch of Rhinox are hiding behind the display screen. I'll switch on... Tried.
I am terrible doing, like, shooters and on, like, controller, I'm sorry to say. It is a hard time. And there is no, like, aim assist with this thing.
Just as I thought, the machine room is overrun with birds. Nice work, Agent 9.
That looks like a dragon.
Now I can switch the gravitonometric generator back.
There were plenty of birds. My workload is easily solved by having one more person here in my room. Yeah, but are they gonna get you that one more person? Like, that's the question. Oh, he got me. Okay. Honestly, what is wrong with the... Oh, okay, you're talking with Jack.
Sipping time sponsored by
I will get one shortly. Don't you worry, soon, Wolf. I had a dream about this. Like, this very, like, mechanic. I had a dream. I was probably the monkey in this scenario as well. Weird.
The lab's clear, and it smells better in here already.
Like, yeah, this is weird. Like, this like, very, like, single-fire rapid shooty memes. Go.
Thank you very much.
Alright, now I need to snipe the boats. What boats? Oh, nice. So the bombs can go through the thingy. Nice. Wait, are they riding them? Oh, no, they're riding jet skis. I thought they were riding themselves for an instant there. There we go. Gets rid of the boats. Gives us an egg, no doubt. Give me that egg. Yep, Tony. Thank you for the egg, Tony. Alright, we only need 5 more eggs then. That's easily accomplished in, like, one place, maybe 2, if we don't want to, like, have to chase after all of them in one spot. And we get ourselves more gems. Yay. Grab you. Ding, ding. 4, 8, 1. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother going after the rest. We got our 3 eggs from this place. We're moving on to the next one. Last 15 minutes, anywho. The monkey's silly. Monkey is silly. You know what's been something tempting on my side? like, Pink, there's an artist named Pink, and like, their character is like a goo character, and what they've done is that they've just had that character being, like, all these different kinds of species for the fun of it, and I'm like, I wonder what my zebra, keeping to his color scheme and such, would be like with his, you know, black and white stripes, blue eyes, and what have you. Like, have him as a monkey and things. Yay! 4 more to go. Stomp the floor. Oh boy. Whatever that means. Knowing my luck, there's gonna be a very obvious, like, X on the ground or something. 149 and 150,000. Oh my goodness. It wants me, so that level wants me to, like, chase after. Do you like Marty from Madagascar? I'm not too sure. I am not too sure about Marty from Madagascar. The marvelous Magnifico!
The sorceress! We're hiding here whilst we practice using it. Unfortunately, we've had a bit of an accident and turned everything into crystal, and it seems to...
Right, yo. Fuck that turtle. Oh, cool, I can actually go in here. Alright, I was kind of worried I couldn't. Alright, moving right up. Oop, hello. A lot of geometry. Oop. There we go. I thought I had to deal with that particular crystal, but it's not that one. There we go. And this is this guy gonna help me? Looks like he will, but there's also something in the water. Never mind, nothing important in the water.
Would you like to see a magic trick?
Would you like Zamboni, the great Zamboni? He's gonna turn this thing into ice.
Wave of my hands and the magic word, Alakazam.
Oh, I thought he was gonna turn it into ice. Ow, fuck you. Okay, so do not hit any of them. Main! Good for you, you're back with us. And, okay, so you want us to just fly back here then. With you. Alright, Yung. Almost went through all 4 steps. Yeah, show me the magic trick again, because I wasn't paying attention. Crystals destroyed by fire. Magical fire, might I add.
All this magic is just misdirection, you know? Which is why...
Almost picked up everything off the water. Another tight turn. Here we go. There we are. Ooh, hello. Alright, you need to do your magic again, because I finally... Yep.
Okay.
There we go. Don't mind that crystals can be destroyed with
Spyro!
money bags! Fuck you. Gem.
Good work.
Well, I suppose I could show you my new trick. As
Oh, Zamboni stole this one, did he? Yeah, I guess Zamboni would have stolen this one. Here comes the new problem, is I need to get these guys. There we go. Ding. Alright, show me again. Yep, reach the crystal tower, which is what we're doing here. And then done. Does this like give us back the return home?
You can have this.
Yep, so this was reaching the crystal tower, which helps us return home. And we need only 2 more eggs. Nice. Ice. Oh, it's like literal racing lines, okay. Okay, I kind of cheated with that one, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm guessing this is gonna get trickier with enemies and what have you, no doubt. And we get ourselves an egg out of all this trouble. Thank you, Eloise. 1 more egg! Whack-a-mole. Oh, shit. Oh, crud. They want me to play whack-a-mole. God damn you. Alright, let's have a look. Over here, no doubt. Bentley! Abso-fucking-lutely, Bentley.
Spyro, the amazing Rendini is about to put on a display of prestidigitation. I've heard it's quite
He's gonna have some office Israel. I do love the Salvador Dali stashes on the wizard. You know what is crazy? Seeing that, like, Salvador Dali is just that fucking crazy looking in real life when he went to interviews and shit.
I am afraid my magic show seems to have overexcited them all. All they need is a good bonker on the head to calm them down. A light at the top of the head should sort them out, but be careful. that did not do it.
Alrighty, so I need to be faster. Alrighty, let's bash some moles. Why must you start the countdown from here? No, you...
A light...
There we go.
And look, one of my friends.
Hank. And what do you know? We could probably catch the flying thief. Okay. Let me just pick up these gems while I'm here. Yeah, the camera doesn't really help. It's like, you know, you're looking over his left shoulder. And then I, like, run around. Here we go. He wrote a script for a Marx Brother movie. Harpo had 3 arms. Who? No idea who you're talking about. Hi there, Izzy. Welcome home. Welcome, welcome. You missed out on, like, us getting bored by a whale, but we saved a child, and now we're here. Oh, hello. Oh, I see, I see, I see. Well, that's not fair. Go. And we got ourselves Max, which gives us 101. Eat the rich, eat the bear. Oh, I wish I could, but we can't. We are unfortunately not allowed to eat the bear, so we're gonna have to travel back. Fly to the hidden egg. No idea where that is, and not really interested, because we now have over 100 eggs, which means we can now deal with the boss at the end of this thing. Usually lurk on Wednesdays as I have slow days. Oh, nice, Jerry B. Couldn't have been that good voring. No, I wasn't good voring, Izzy. Also, Izzy. Remember when I showed you that little, like, octagonal chart thing that was, like, the JoJo stats, and you were like, show it to Z? You were right. He just puts everything. I feel like he does like an unfair thing. He just like, oh, max stats for Izzy the Fat Cat. Where did this admiration come from? Is it because you do amazing art and so he's just like 100% Izzy? He does it to tease you. Okay. Fiddly-hee! Oh.
You found enough dragon eggs for me to unlock the portal. Once I've opened it, you can confront the sorceress whenever you're ready. But be careful. She'll be expecting you.
Not to worry. I shall win this. It will not take many attempts. Let's do this. He's doing it to tease you. Do you think you could do like an accurate, like if you had to like think, you know, critically about your character, Izzy, do you think you can do an accurate like vor thingy-madiggy? Because I reckon I could do an accurate one for my zebra. Oh hey, it's the monkey.
Time to kick some sorceress butt!
Nice. Alrighty, monkey. I do not see a thingy-majiggies, which is unfortunate. I do not remember this thing. Monkey, can you give me some sheep, please? Yeah, because I don't like these flying saucers. Oh, there's one. Enough with the flying saucer ones. I don't like them. Flying saucer ones are my least favorite. There we go. Hey, we got an egg back. Nice. Obviously, that was like the quote-unquote final egg. George! That would have gotten us 150 points. Idiot. Oleandrin work... Wait, what? Oleandrin work on Lord Beerus? Oh, nice! Interesting.
Dragon eggs and restored freedom to the lost dragon worlds. What you plan to do next, hmm? Perhaps a nice vacation in Dragon Shores, hmm?
You're a real comedian sometimes, Bentley.
It's just Bentley who's been doing the interviews at the first game.
You know, I still have to find the rest of the dragon eggs. Plus, Hunter seems to have disappeared again, so I should go make sure he's not in more trouble. You haven't seen him, have you?
What? Me? Oh, no. If I do happen to encounter him, however, I will most certainly inform you immediately.
Sounds good. You missed some eggs?
It's a funny...
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I was very much aware I was missing eggs, considering there's apparently 140 eggs and 120,000 gems. But I'm not a 100% completionist kind of Zeebs.
Yeah, by 1,000 years. That would explain why...
What if you ate them? What, all the eggs? How scandalous. How dare you?
Sure, Laura, but I still have to find the rest of the eggs, and, well, Hunter's disappeared again.
Did you say Hunter? Well, hey, I can help. I just saw him sneak off with
him. Agent 9, isn't that a Rhinoc over in those bushes?
Rhinoc? Ooh, let me at him. You want a piece of me, Rhinoc boy? 8 laser punk? Come on now.
140 eggs after collecting it. Yeah, but I needed 100 eggs, so...
I mean, I'm sure he will turn up soon.
Promise you'll come visit Avalar
149. Yeah, sorry, 149 eggs. So yeah, I still have like another 48 eggs to go, and I'm not exactly interested in doing that.
How many times have I told you not to taste that moose?
It was Billy's idea. Yeah.
Is that true, Billy? Hold that thought, Billy. Spyro, great to see ya.
Hi, Sheila. I've been looking for Hunter all day. Have you seen him?
I think it's because we went through, like, enough of the, like, eggs in all the different worlds is why.
You didn't hear anything from me.
Oh, would you look at that? Ooh. We kind of saw that happening.
Sad sight, Sparks. Another noble warrior falls victim to the plague of love. Just look away. Well, I guess we'll have
no, love is not a plague. Love is not a plague. How dare you, Spyro?
Let's watch the show.
They're Voyagers. They like watching it. Spyro, you fucking child. Exactly. So yeah, we now have 102 eggs. But I'm not going after the remaining 149 or what have you. Voyeurs. Oh, okay, voyeurs. Sorry. I am not familiar with all the fetishes, okay? I sort of am, but I don't properly remember all the names and faces. But yeah, as you can see, up there at the giant one, there's like a thingamadiggy for doing like all what's-a-mahoozy number. Not my cup of tea, because here's the thing, look at this. So I have to collect all the remaining gems from this one, this one, this one, this one, and find out, hop to the secret cave. Then I need to get all the gems from this one. Then I need to get all the gems from this one, the gems from that one, collecting the bones and the gems, the gems and the top of the mountain, the gems and the hummingbirds. Wall, 2 of these, 2, so many of the firework factory, which I hated, more of those, all of those from the speedway, so many. Ugh. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Not my cup of tea. Also, goddamn, why am I doing so many hiccups? Ugh, excuse me. I don't know why it keeps telling me, hey, Sparks has the thing for me. It's not because I've not found the thing that lets me do Spark shit yet. Ugh. But yeah, see? 15,000 and 149 eggs. We're not doing that. I'm sorry, but no. So yeah, because like, yeah, way too many. Ugh, excuse me. But yeah, look at that. 79, 67, 60%. 69! Hey guys, chat, look! 69%! Nice! Excuse me. That is honestly gonna be it for me tonight. I know it's tempting, let me tell you what. It's tempting going into more Dragon Age the Veilguard and making it just, you know, next week is Monday, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Wednesday, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Friday, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Saturday. Unfortunately, next Saturday, I am going to be working. It is my turn to take on a Saturday shift, so I won't be able to do my normal Saturday morning streams and what have you, but who knows? Maybe Sunday morning, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Was fun to watch. Thank you for the entertainment. Not to worry. I have so many fucking games available on my thingamadiggy now as well. Like, there's like an expanded drive in here. So I still have Astrobot I could go through. That could probably be a Wednesday thing. There's Cult of the Lamb, there's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Dead Island 2, Dragon Dogma, Final Fantasy shit. Although I will be real with you, I'd rather start from Final Fantasy 1 than, you know, go all the way up to like 15 or 7 Remake. I haven't finished Street Fighter 6. And that's not to say about the games that I have on the PlayStation 4 discs, such as the Uncharted series, the Crash Bandicoot series. God damn it, I have so many hiccups. Ugh. Excuse me. Yeah. Alright. Here is what we are going to do. We are gonna end the stream here, and we're gonna have a look and see who we can go and raid. I know it's a little bit early. I know I've only been streaming for 2 hours, but I don't want to, like, pick up an entirely new game. I want to, like, you know, I want to be able to, like, do whatever, I want to, you know, end it on a high note, fix these hiccups, and catch a few Z's. So, yeah. I can see that Code the Yoshi right now is streaming, so you know what? You've raided them 3 times in the last 30 days, and we're gonna raid them again. So, looks like they're going through something called the World of Final Fantasy, so they're gonna have to explain to me whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, I will be back online Friday night. Friday night, I have way more of Dragon Age the Veilguard to go through, so I hope... There we go. All right. Thank you, everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I will be resuming... God damn it. I'll be resuming Dragon Age the Veilguard Friday night, and then Saturday morning we have our usual Final Fantasy XIV stream, which is going to be rather interesting, because I have so much more of the... Hi there, Wolf Fox. Sorry that you're coming in at, like, the tail end of my stream, I'm sorry to say. Fuck! Sorry, I just got so many hiccups. But yeah, I will be back online Friday night for Dragon Age the Veilguard. And right now, we're raiding into Code the Yoshi, and I hope you all have a wonderful time over there, and I hopefully will see you on Friday night, or I'll see you all next time. Bye for now. Ugh, I need to fix my throat. What in the world is going on? Oh yeah, the raid message is Himbo Raid. This one here. Ugh, my throat. What is going on?